Have you ever wondered what an Amish home actually looks like from the inside? No television, no wall socket, no telephone, no mirror, no photographs, no carpet, no wedding ring, no internet, and no toy with a face. And why every single one of those absences was a deliberate decision. No television. The average American household has a television running for more than 8 hours every day. An Amish household has never owned one. Television is not banned because the Amish failed to understand what it offers. It is banned because they understood exactly what it offers: a continuous stream of outside values, outside entertainment, outside voices, and outside influence delivered directly into the center of family life. The Amish concluded that what enters the home through a screen cannot be controlled the way a door can be controlled. The television was never invited in. The decision was made before the first set appeared in American living rooms, and it has not been revisited since. No grid electricity. The wall socket in an Amish home is not connected to anything. The public electrical grid, the network of wires, poles, transformers, and utility companies that deliver power to virtually every other American household, stops at the Amish property line. This is not a financial decision. It is a theological and community one. The Amish understanding is that connecting to the grid means connecting to the world, accepting a dependency on an outside system that cannot be controlled, monitored, or limited by the community. Once the wire comes into the house, everything that runs on electricity becomes possible, and the community loses the ability to draw a meaningful line. The grid connection is therefore never made. Power for the tools and appliances the community does permit comes from diesel generators, propane, compressed air, and solar panels in more progressive districts. All self-contained systems that the household controls directly and that do not tie the family to an outside provider. No telephone inside the house. The Amish do not have telephones inside their homes. This is one of the most consistently misunderstood rules in Amish life. Because the Amish do use telephones, they simply do not allow them inside the house. The telephone, in most Amish communities, lives in a small shed or wooden box at the end of the driveway, or in a shared phone shanty used by several neighboring families. It is available for outgoing calls when necessary, to schedule a medical appointment, to call a supplier, to contact an English driver. It is not available for casual incoming calls, extended conversations, or the kind of constant availability that a home telephone creates. The reasoning is specific. A telephone inside the home changes the nature of the home. It makes the household reachable by the outside world at any moment, on the outside world's schedule rather than the family's. Keeping the telephone at the end of the driveway preserves the home as a space the family controls. If they want to make a call, they walk to the phone. If someone wants to reach them, they leave a message. The interruption of family life by an outside caller is not possible because the caller cannot get inside. No full-length mirrors are explicitly forbidden in old order Amish homes under the Ordnung, the community's unwritten code of conduct. The prohibition is stated directly in documented descriptions of Amish community rules. Full-length mirrors are thought to promote vanity and self-admiration. A small mirror is sufficient for practical purposes, checking that a prayer covering is positioned correctly, ensuring that clothing is tidy, may be permitted in some districts. But the large mirror that shows the entire body, the kind that invites a person to study their own appearance and compare it to an ideal, is not allowed. The Amish understanding of vanity is not a casual concern. Vanity, the elevation of individual appearance, the cultivation of pride in how one looks, is seen as a direct threat to the principle of Gelassenheit, the yielding of self to God and community that underlies all of Amish life. A community in which individuals spend time admiring their own reflections is a community moving toward the individualism that the Amish have spent 300 years resisting. The full-length mirror is removed from the home for the same reason that jewelry is forbidden, photographs are not taken, and clothing is plain. Every one of those things is a mechanism for drawing attention to the individual self. No photographs on the walls. Walk into any Amish home and the walls will be bare, not decorated with art or personal photographs, not covered in family portraits, vacation pictures, or the kind of framed images that fill the walls of most modern homes. The surfaces are plain, painted or papered in simple colors, without pictures of any kind. The theological basis is the same as the prohibition on personal photography. The Amish interpretation of the second commandment, which forbids the making of graven images, extends to photographs of human beings displayed in the home. A photograph of a person is understood as a representation of that individual, an elevation of their image that promotes both vanity in the subject and individualism in the household. The photograph on the wall says, "This particular person matters. This face deserves to be seen and remembered and admired." The Amish home says the opposite. What matters is not the individual face, but the community, the family as a unit, the faith that holds everyone together. The walls are bare not because the family has nothing to display, but because the act of display itself is the problem. Some Amish families keep simple decorative items, a calendar, a verse, a pressed flower. But the family portrait, the school photograph, the vacation snapshot framed above the fireplace are absent from every Amish home in every district across every settlement. No central heating. Central heating, the system of furnaces, ducts, vents, and thermostats that regulates temperature automatically throughout a modern home, is not permitted in most old order Amish households. The objection is partly about grid dependency and partly about what automatic heating does to family life. A home with central heating is a home where every room is the same temperature, where no one needs to think about heat, where the management of warmth has been handed over to a machine and a utility company. An Amish home is heated by wood stoves and coal stoves that require active management. Someone must cut and carry the wood. Someone must load and tend the fire. Someone must read the burn and adjust the damper. That work is not a burden the Amish seek to eliminate. It is part of the daily rhythm of household life that keeps the family engaged with their own physical environment. The stove also concentrates the family. On the coldest nights, everyone gathers in the room where the heat is, around the kitchen stove, near the sitting room fire. That gathering is not incidental. It is one of the reasons the Amish home functions the way it does. Removing central heating did not make the home less warm. It made the family more present. No carpeting. Carpeting is banned in many old order Amish districts, specifically mentioned in documented descriptions of community rules as one of the details that distinguish conservative Amish households from more progressive ones. The floors of an Amish home are typically wood, stone, or in some districts linoleum, practical, clean surfaces that do not accumulate the kind of dirt, allergens, and hidden debris that carpet traps over time. The ban on carpeting reflects a broader principle that runs through every aspect of Amish home design, the preference for the functional over the decorative. The carpet is soft underfoot and adds visual warmth to a room, but it requires specialized cleaning, wears unevenly, and must eventually be replaced. A wood floor can be swept, scrubbed, and refinished indefinitely. It does not need a vacuum cleaner, an electrical appliance that most Amish households would not have anyway. The rule on carpeting also reflects the Amish suspicion of comfort as an end in itself. Modern homes are designed around the maximization of physical comfort, soft surfaces, regulated temperatures, cushioned seating, minimized noise. The Amish home is designed around the maximization of function and the maintenance of simplicity. Bare floors are easier to keep clean, easier to maintain, and do not require any technology to care for. They are also, in the context of the Amish home, entirely sufficient. No jewelry. The Amish do not wear jewelry. This prohibition applies to every member of the community, men, women, and children, and it includes the one item that most married people in the modern world consider essential, the wedding ring. No engagement ring is given when an Amish couple becomes engaged. No wedding band is exchanged at the ceremony. The finger that in most Western cultures carries the visible marker of a marriage commitment is bare in an Amish household. The theological basis is consistent with everything else in the Amish approach to personal appearance. Jewelry draws attention to the individual. It signals wealth, status, or personal taste. It invites admiration and comparison. Every one of those functions contradicts the Amish principle of humility and collective identity over individual expression. The wedding ring in particular is understood as unnecessary because the Amish community already has visible markers of marital status that cannot be purchased or displayed as a symbol of affluence. An Amish man grows a beard after he marries. The beard is visible to everyone and costs nothing. An Amish woman wears a white prayer covering as a single woman and transitions to specific clothing styles after marriage. The community can read marital status from these markers without any ring. The ring, from the Amish perspective, adds nothing that is not already communicated, except the suggestion that the marriage needs to be displayed rather than simply lived. That suggestion is rejected entirely. Internet connection. Personal computers and internet connections are not permitted in Old Order Amish homes. This is documented explicitly in descriptions of the Ordnung, the same community rules that prohibit grid electricity and the telephone inside the house also prohibit personal computers connected to any network. The reasoning follows directly from the Amish position on the telephone and the television, but the internet raises the stakes significantly higher than either of those technologies. The telephone allows the outside world to reach the home. The television delivers outside content into the home. The internet does both of those things simultaneously at unlimited scale at any hour with no possibility of meaningful restriction once the connection is established. The Amish community has watched the internet transform every institution it has entered: family life, community cohesion, religious practice, the attention of young people, the economic relationships between people and corporations, and has concluded that none of those transformations are consistent with what the Amish community is trying to preserve. Some more progressive Amish districts permit computers without internet connections for specific business purposes: accounting, word processing, record keeping, powered by generator or battery rather than grid electricity. But the personal computer connected to the internet, placed in the home and available to every family member at any time, is not permitted in any traditional Old Order community. The line is drawn at the connection. Once the connection exists, the community loses the ability to draw any further lines that matter. No toy with a Face the Children's Room in an Amish home contains toys, dolls, simple wooden figures, handmade games, and objects for play that are made within the community or purchased from plain suppliers. What none of those toys have is a face. The Amish doll, one of the most recognizable objects associated with Amish culture, is a cloth figure dressed in plain Amish clothing, sewn by hand, and deliberately constructed without eyes, nose, mouth, or any facial feature. The head is smooth fabric. The figure is unmistakably human in shape, but carries no individual identity, no expression, no face that could be read as belonging to a specific person. The theological reason is consistent with the prohibition on photographs and the bare walls. The Amish interpretation of the commandment against graven images extends to any representation of the human face that might encourage the child to focus on individual appearance, to develop preferences based on how a toy looks, or to treat physical features as the source of a doll's value or identity. A faceless doll teaches the child who plays with it that identity comes from character, role, and community membership, not from what you look like. The child dresses the doll, assigns it a role in play, and engages with it without being directed by an expression or a face that communicates a predetermined personality. In that sense, the faceless doll is a more open-ended object than the highly detailed, expression-rich dolls sold in mainstream toy stores. It asks the child to bring the imagination rather than receive one already provided. The 10 things absent from an Amish home are not absent because the Amish did not know about them, could not afford them, or failed to understand what they offer. The television, the grid connection, the telephone, the mirror, the photographs, the central heating, the carpet, the jewelry, the internet, and a face toy were all considered by Amish communities at various points and excluded by deliberate decision. Each decision was made through the same process. The community examined what the object would do to family life, to community cohesion, to individual humility, and to the relationship between the household and the outside.